Hello everyone and welcome to my review of the first two Cartaventura boxes. We've got Vinland and Lhasa. I think that's a butchered pronunciation, but these are effectively choose your own adventure stories, and unlike many that have been released recently, they have both boxes 5 different endings for you to experience. Now, these are basically small square cards. Some of them are map pieces, some of them are sort of giving you options of events, some are instant events that you must decide something on, and then there's some items and objects along the way that you can collect, and those objects may or may not come into play depending on your choices. For example, in this adventure you're going to get money. Now, you could spend some of that money or you could hold on to it because maybe there's a later choice that will use that money that you wouldn't be able to do. Now, that means on other playthroughs, you can go and do a different thing. But it's not just playing through the same story. There are some cards that once flipped over, stay flipped in your box. Which means in the first playthrough, you might flip the card, and then in the second time through, you haven't needed to maybe spend the resource or whatever to do that. And that opens up slightly different avenues of the adventure. It's very simple to play because you are effectively putting cards down on the table, reading the text aloud for everyone around to sort of follow along the narrative journey. But you still have this picture of this sort of map that's building out of choices. So you're going to put a card down, it might tell you to the left of it, say that's card 18, to the right of it is card 19. And they're going to give you choices, maybe talking to locals or camping for a night. And they're going to tell you to then go to the deck of cards and maybe, depending on your choice, turn over a card and read what's on the other side. Maybe it's, again, just going through that deck and finding people, talking to people, and slowly progressing the story. Now, they both say they're for 1 to 6 players. I've played both of them multiple times with 2, which I think is a really good number. We had sort of a real enjoyment of the narrative. We had a back and forth when there were discussions about the choices along the way, but there wasn't too many voices. Personally, I think, like many escape room or choose your own adventures, I think 6 would be too many, just too many voices. I'd almost say, right, you 3 play this box and we'll play this box, and then we can swap over, because then everyone gets a little bit more involved. And we did feel involved because your choices really do change things. And like in some where there's just a small branch, there are options that mean your story can end quite soon. I'm not going to say in which box, but one time we were playing for maybe 5 minutes before we had reached an end. Now, I'm not going to say if the ending was good or bad, but it only took us 5 minutes in what is, on the back of the box, a 60-minute game. Now, none of our playthroughs have reached that full 60. I would say the maximum was about 30 to 40 minutes, and that was one where we really went through a lot of the deck, like almost the whole deck. So some stories do end a lot earlier than others, and there's a bit of a range there on the time it will take. But if you do get that sort of really short 5-10 minute experience, normally you go, okay, I see what we did wrong. That was maybe a silly decision we made. Let's go back, start again, and maybe go on a different route. And you can do that from the beginning, you know, make very different choices and really branch that narrative. You might still go to the same locations, but you might do different things there and find out different information. And some of the information you can sort of work out and remember from one play to the other. That's not too much of a problem where it would be in, say, Unlock or something like that, when you just remember a puzzle. There's not really puzzles, just narrative choices to make. They are really small boxes, So, you know, you can throw that in a bag if you're traveling somewhere. The only thing is, I would say it does sometimes require a good amount of table space. It's not loads, but you do need to be able to lay sort of a good sort of maybe 5 cards across on a table. So you could play it in sort of a restaurant, on a restaurant style shaped table, but you know, we've enjoyed it mostly just here on this table. The artwork of the maps and the different locations is really nice. It sort of does fit this sort of old adventuring style theme, and it does bring locations to life. Certainly the map pieces that sort of you put one card down and then another card next to it, and if that's the, you know, continued of the map, it does continue that illustration, which it's really nice. It does create, you know, certainly when there's a village or such, trying not to give too much away, along, you can sort of see the different bits, and it's a nice artwork to peer in on. They do actually come with little historical, tiny, small leaflet things in there, just a little bit of extra reading. You don't need to read it, pre-read it or anything. Nice little addition, not really needed. I think most will probably think it's a rule book, open it, realise it's not, and then put it to the side, because you just learn by playing. Literally the first couple of cards teaches you the rules. Now, will I be returning to these? Now, like I say, I've played them multiple times and got different endings. We've never got the same ending, and I think you never probably would, because you know the choices you made. So you could railroad your way away from one ending. If you know it was going to happen, you'd purposefully choose the other option. And I think if you are going to be playing with different groups, as long as they're aware that you've played it and that you might at some point go on a bit of a tangent because you're like, we don't want that ending or something, it could work, you know. As long as you're not railroading everyone's decisions and letting them pick things, it wouldn't be a problem. Nothing in the box is destroyed or used up. So, you know, once you've played it, you're 2, 3, 4, 5 times, however much you want, you can pass it on and let someone else enjoy the experience. And I think we're going to play Vinland again, because we want to see at least one more ending. Perhaps with the one that I find harder to pronounce, Lhasa. I don't know, I'm really bad at that. I think we've probably played this one and got what we consider a really nice ending, or at least a good ending from the box. So I don't know whether we'd need to necessarily return straight away to it. Anyway, that is Cartaventura. Interesting choose your own adventure style games from Blackrock Games. And to be honest, they are doing another box, and I will be interested in sort of learning a little bit more about that. There is other news, reviews and such on the channel, so please check it out. Stay subscribed, be subscribed and all that jazz. And I'm Oliver East, signing out.